Good morning, brothers and sisters. Welcome to another exciting episode of our Faith Matters Conversation Forum. You may notice that our cast of characters has changed slightly. Father Chris is taking a Sunday off to be with his lovely bride and have a little time to themselves, which is wonderful. We are joined by Peter Steinbrenner, our postulant to Holy Orders, who is also our preacher this morning. And having heard his talk at the 8 o'clock service, if you join us for 10, I can tell you you're in for a treat. That is going to be a great thing. Would you close it? Thank you.
I thought I heard a dog.
I did too.
I did.
We don't know what's going on around here, brothers and sisters, but the spirit is indeed moving. Well, it definitely is a dog. Okay. I have no control. I might be the rector, but I'm certainly not in charge. So, our task today is to take a little opportunity to tiptoe through the gospel passage. This is one that you certainly know well. This is the Transfiguration story. But today, and we hear it in a couple of gospels, today we hear it in Mark's gospel. So, let me give you Mark's version of the Transfiguration. Jesus took with him Peter and James and John and led them up a high mountain apart by themselves. And he was transfigured before them, and his clothes became dazzling white, such as no one on earth could bleach them. And there appeared to them Elijah with Moses, who were talking with Jesus. Then Peter said to Jesus, "Rabbi, it is good for us to be here. Let us make 3 dwellings, one for you, one for Moses, and one for Elijah." He did not know what to say, for they were terrified. Then a cloud overshadowed them, and from the cloud there came a voice. "This is my Son, the Beloved. Listen to him." Suddenly, when they looked around, they saw no one with them anymore, but only Jesus. As they were coming down the mountain, he ordered them to tell no one about what they had seen until after the Son of Man had risen from the dead. Short passage.
Mark,
right?
Mark is short,
just the facts,
short and
ma'am.
sweet, right?
I love Mark.
Mark, Sergeant Joe Friday.
To the point.
So, sisters, brothers, what did you hear? What challenged you? What attracted you? What repelled you? What might have been new for the first time around?
Yeah. This is one of those wow passages to me.
Yeah?
Just
say a little more.
Because it's like, wow, here's like who Jesus really is.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
I mean, there's no mistaking after this experience, Peter, James, and John, right? I mean, how could they not have realized, bam, this is Jesus is who he says he is and more. I mean, he's God, he's Jesus, this is the wow moment.
This
right?
is it,
the mountaintop.
Right? That mountaintop
The
experience.
mountaintop
exactly.
moment.
I could just see them being totally stunned. You put yourself in the disciples' place, and they see this brightness, and they see Elijah and Moses.
Right.
And then this big voice comes. I don't know which would be more awesome.
Yeah.
The voice
I
or
know.
the visions.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
It's amazing.
Is it any wonder they were overwhelmed?
Right. Yeah.
And Peter does something that all of us, I think, do from time to time. When you're just so overwhelmed, you just start babbling. Jesus, let us make you some dwellings and some booths. Really, it was just sort of places where a lot of folks, when they were travelers on the road, they would just kind of make for themselves what we might think of as a little lean-to or something, just something to shelter them so that they could rest there overnight. That's what he's talking about when he says this. In various translations, it's 3 dwellings, 3 booths, 3 spaces. That's really all it is. It's just a very sort of Bear Grylls, outdoors-ish way of spending the night. Peter, you're probably able to put one of those together like that.
Yeah, that's
You're such
right.
the outdoorsman.
I know, but such a human thing.
But a very human
It's
thing
like, okay.
for very beyond
Yeah.
comprehension
Like-
people.
Elijah and Moses weren't alive anymore, so why would they need a dwelling?
Exactly.
It's pretty
Exactly.
funny, right?
You see these beside the road, though. You'll see where people have been injured or hurt or killed. And you'll see little shelters built
Right.
with things inside it. And I think
okay.
that's also another. They may have been trying to make a memorial.
Like a Dios de los
Yeah.
Mortes.
Yeah.
That
de los
whole
Mortes, yeah,
celebration,
everything.
am I
Yeah.
saying it
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're right.
Yeah, and sometimes it's a way of you put together like a cairn. You know what that is? It's sort of
Yeah.
a stack of rocks on top of one another. It's also there's a wonderful hymn, and one of the verses is, "Here I raise my Ebenezer." And Ebenezer is essentially like a cairn. It's a monument to say something momentous happened here, and that too could be what Peter is talking about.
I never knew what the Ebenezer was.
But let me
there's
let me
someone
get to your
chime
comments
in.
because we're chatting away here.
Yes.
So
What is people writing? I don't have my phone.
I
in
got
your
it.
hand.
I'm on it.
No,
I'm
you're
helping.
good.
Judy asked, "Was this before or after Palm Sunday?" This is decidedly before Palm Sunday. So let me give you the situation here. All of our Epiphany celebrations, this is the last Sunday of Epiphany, have been pointing toward this moment. The Transfiguration is when everything changes. And from the time they come down the mountain, Jesus now is on the path to Holy Week. He has turned his face toward Jerusalem, as it says in the Gospel, and all of our Gospel passages over the course of Lent are leading us to Palm Sunday, the entry into Jerusalem, Maundy, Thursday, the crucifixion on Good Friday, and the resurrection and the empty tomb on Easter. But before we get there, we're kind of working our way in series. So today is when we get our final absolute, as Jen says, unimpeachable glimpse of the divinity of Jesus. And now we're leading toward the arrest and the crucifixion.
Yeah. Yeah, did you see Kelly Morgan's paradox?
I haven't got that far yet.
Oh, okay.
I'm working on it.
I'm reading someone
I'm
else's
way,
phone.
way, way behind here. Oh, Brian,
Yes.
as always, you ask the best
How does
questions,
he
my
know?
friend. And that was one I was going to ask, too. How
There's no picture
do
books.
Peter, James, and John know that those two dudes over there talking to Jesus are Moses and Elijah?
Right?
Were they wearing T-shirts that said Moses and Elijah? I doubt it. How did they know that?
I think they overheard the conversation.
Could
And
be.
Jesus goes, "Hey, Moses, how are things going?"
Right.
Maybe. Yeah.
You think that's what they said?
That. You never know. Hey, how's it up there? But weren't
Yo,
they,
Jesus, what's up, man?
Right.
Yeah, I'm not sure it went like that, but
weren't Elijah and Moses supposed to be at the coming of the Messiah or something of that?
Yeah.
It was the
Yeah.
Old
They
Testament.
Elijah
pre-
would come before the Messiah.
Yes.
So maybe
And
they
so
were
this
waiting
is
for that.
this is one of the
Yeah.
things that answers the whole messiahship claim and brings the Old Testament prophecy to fruition. Elijah has
Those
appeared.
guys. Yeah. So they were expecting, I guess,
Right.
to see. Interesting.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, Kelly's comment is a good one. It
Yes.
caught me the paradox between I know this is huge, but don't tell anybody.
The reverse psychology, maybe.
Don't
aspect.
tell anybody.
Jesus
Yeah.
does that more than
Yeah,
one time.
he's been doing that.
Jesus spends a lot of time doing that. We saw that last week with the
Yes.
casting out of the demons.
Yes.
Every time Jesus casts out demons, he tells the demons, first of all, demon, don't tell anybody who I am. And then after the people are healed, he's like, don't tell anybody that I healed
Yeah.
you.
They're still doing that.
And they
Yeah.
do. They do a lot of that.
Yeah. Yeah.
So what do you think, what jumped out at me this time, and I spent a lot of time with these scriptures, but I always get a new one too. What jumped out at me this time was there appeared to them Elijah and Moses who were talking with Jesus.
Mm-hmm.
There's so much going
yeah,
on
they're
here
talking.
that it's really easy to overlook that, but I would love to have been a proverbial fly on the wall to hear what that conversation was like.
Right. Yeah. I mean,
They knew each other.
yeah. If they'd been,
Yeah.
oh. Where
Right.
Jesus
Well,
was, when they
Elijah
went-
and Moses clearly were sent at the behest of God
Right.
to speak to Jesus in this forum, and to do it more or less publicly, not in a huge public setting, but in other words, not privately for Jesus all by himself. They appeared so that the disciples would see them, and so that it could be
And
codified
know
for us in the scriptures.
Yeah.
So nothing that happens in the Bible happens by accident, and this is included to help the disciples, but also to help each one of us.
Yeah.
Okay, Rachel says she's confused. Who is he, as in he did not know what to say? No, he's not talking about Jesus. When they say he, they're referring to Peter. Okay?
Yeah, okay.
Then Peter said
He
to
said all that other
Jesus,
stuff.
Rabbi, it's good for us to be here. He did not know what to say. The he that they're talking about is Peter. So it was
Babbling.
Peter who was confused and sort of babbling a little bit.
Yeah.
Does that more than one time.
Peter spends a lot of time babbling.
Yeah.
I've told you this a million times, and I'm going to keep saying it. If Peter didn't exist, we would have had to make him up, because Peter is really our entry point into this. If the apostles were all these Ubermenschen, these supermen, we couldn't relate to them.
Right.
We can relate to Peter because we can all sort of put ourselves into the shoes of this sort of fumbler who doesn't always get it right, who's overeager, who promises too much, and who runs away when the going gets tough.
Yeah.
Boy, that sounds a lot like me. And
Yeah.
maybe you feel the same way.
But he says exactly what's on his mind and doesn't hold back ever.
He
like
doesn't hold
that's
back.
why you get all that. If he just kept quiet, it wouldn't have been down there, right? And we wouldn't have got to see what he was thinking.
That's right. That's
So
right.
I love it that he's like, bloop, it just came out before he thought about it coming out of his mouth, right? Mm-hmm.
Brian asks, is this the first time that Peter's able to see into the spiritual world? Well, Peter was also there at the baptism of Jesus. So he's already had this experience once. Seeing the Holy Spirit come down and a light on Jesus when he comes up out of the water, and hearing the voice of God saying almost the very same thing. This is my Son, the beloved, with whom I am well pleased. Listen to him. And we have in the Transfiguration, this is my Son, the beloved. Listen to him. So one harkens right back to the other. But once again, it didn't take the first time. They didn't quite get it. And as we know, because we know the rest of the story, it doesn't take completely either, especially at the arrest, because Peter, who pledges his undying love and says, I'll go to you even unto the grave, Lord, boom, beats feet as soon as Jesus is arrested. Again, it's Peter's humanity and his continual failing that gives us that entry point, because we can all sort of put ourselves in Peter's shoes.
Takes 3 times for Peter. On
Yeah.
everything.
Was he in shock? Great
Yeah.
question, Rosalie. I'm going to go with yes.
Yeah.
I don't have a medical degree, but I know enough about shock to know that, yeah, very likely, all 3 of them were shocked.
Shocked and amazed.
Shocked and amazed and pretty much freaked out.
Yep.
I mean, any one of these things would be enough to cause a great deal of panic. You know, we have the fight or flight reflex, right? We all know what that is. When you're in a moment of great fear, you have one of 2 instincts. You either choose to fight, or you choose flight.
Yeah.
You choose to flee. But I actually posit that there are 3. It's not just fight or flight.
Freeze.
It's freeze.
The deer in the
It's
headlight kind
deer
of
in the
syndrome.
headlights. Yeah, when something like that happens, you go,
Yep, exactly.
and you can't move. I think that's what happened here for the disciples.
Yeah.
And Peter was the only one who could even find his voice. James and John, I have to imagine, were just standing there open-mouthed, absolutely paralyzed by the experience. They had to be somewhat in fear, they had to be somewhat in shock, and somewhat in awe.
Right.
I mean, let's not lose sight of the fact that Jesus was now glowing.
Yeah.
That's
Dazzling.
not normal. So
He's
dazzling
bedazzled.
white as no one on earth could bleach his clothes, and his face was shining. Wow, oh wow, yes, he might have even been bedazzled.
Yeah.
Elijah and Moses were encouraging Jesus to complete his passion. Yeah, there's certainly
I
a
bet.
great deal of scholarly thought that that's part of it. It's that final pep talk, if you will.
Right.
It's them coming to say to him, look,
You're
we
right.
know it's been hard for you thus far. We know it's going to get a lot harder. We've been there, brother. We're here for you to kind of, let's have this one last moment of prayer and of peace and of fellowship.
Wow.
To strengthen you for the journey which we know you're about to make. But we also know this is why you came here.
It's like the team huddle.
Like the team
Before
huddle,
the
yeah.
final inning of the game or whatever, right?
We're here with you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, that's...
Judy says, tradition would have suggested to the people that Elijah would appear to them publicly and in the flesh. This is not what they expected. I think this is not what they expected could be the subtitle of the Bible. Right?
True that.
Because none of the New Testament is what people expected.
Right.
The Jews had very specific criteria for what the Messiah was going to be. Jesus lived up to almost none of it. They had very strict understanding of how you kept the law and how you curried favor with God. Jesus destroyed almost all of that. So yeah, the Old Testament was constantly being fulfilled. All those prophecies were coming to pass, but not at all in the way people expected them. Does that sound like COVID to anybody?
Yeah.
Yeah, so okay, here's a great one. Peter, James, and John are coming back down the mountain. First of all, you think the other 9 were a little bit peeved that they got the golden ticket to go up the mountain and the rest of them didn't?
Yes.
Yes. One thing we
There's
know
a little
about the
jealousy.
disciples, they were always jealous of one
A little
another.
competitive.
And they were always jockeying for position. I'm the best. No, I'm the best. No, I'm the best.
True.
And then Jesus takes sort of the A-team with him. And they go up the mountain together. But the other 9 were, I'm sure, not real happy. So when these guys got back down, I have to imagine 20 questions began, didn't it?
Right.
Hey, what happened up there? What did Jesus say to you? Oh, I'm sorry, I really can't go into that.
Right.
Are you
Ordered
kidding me?
them not to tell him.
What do you mean you can't? What do you think, you're better than I am?
Yup.
That had to become a real bone of contention, didn't it? But what's really interesting, because as we know, the Gospels were not written contemporaneously, meaning they weren't being written down as they happened. They were written long afterward. What we don't know is, did Peter, James, and John keep this secret until after the resurrection? Or did this start to come out and become common knowledge?
Right. It must have eaten away at them so that they had to talk to someone at some point.
Boy, I would think, right?
I've always thought that Jesus told them, or God said, don't tell anybody, because I know that's the best way to get the word out.
Yeah.
That's back on
Yeah,
Kelly's
keep a
point, reverse
secret. That was
psychology,
Kelly's.
right?
Yes. Yeah. I'm thinking, how can you not eventually, like maybe they didn't then, how could you not eventually share such a moment? You kind of have to.
Boy,
To your
that would be a
closest
really tough one to keep to yourself, wouldn't it?
Contemporary, yeah. Someone that you trust to keep that secret. You would have to get it off your chest. You'd have to share it. Right? I would think.
I would
Just
think
saying.
so too.
Yeah.
I would think so too. Brian asks, is the Holy Ghost also present? It's not explicit as a separate call out here.
Right,
but
like it was at the baptism.
I think there's certainly a great deal of implication there. The cloud that overshadowed them could easily be a manifestation of the Holy Spirit. But it's not explicitly stated. It's not sort of a really well-defined Trinitarian moment.
The cloud, you're right.
Perfect subtitle. Jen looks so happy today. Great smile. And she likes the coffee cup.
It's
Thank you, Lori.
Valentine's Day, folks. It's Transfiguration Sunday. There's a lot of great stuff going on today. Right?
Lori also said something great earlier. She said, I'm ready to learn and to find out what this Lent has to offer us.
Oh my gosh.
Dot. The dot is my favorite part of that post.
Yes.
Because this Lent will be unlike any other we've experienced.
Right?
Now, you're sitting there saying, wait, no, Rick, I got you on this one. Last Lent was like no other we experienced. You are correct. But this one will be different from the last one because this time we know in advance that it's going to be very different. Last time we had it sort of thrust upon us and part of the way through Lent even.
Right.
We were 2 weeks into Lent before the world sort of shrunk very quickly. This Lent, we know exactly what's coming, and we know, for example, that Ash Wednesday is going to be very different, and I'll talk about that before we're done. But we also have hope that by Holy Week and Easter, maybe things might be a little bit different.
Our perspective will be different.
Our perspective certainly will be different. We will be changed by the experience of this Lent. We have been changed by the experience of last Lent and this year. So I love that ... because what it really says is, stay tuned, brothers and sisters. God's going to work with us, and God is going to work through us, and we're in for an interesting yet bumpy ride. Lots of good commentary today.
Yeah.
Oh, Rachel, really good comment. I had never thought of it from that perspective. Rachel says, the 9 who were down at the base of the mountain probably saw lights flashing on top of the mountain.
Cloud.
I had this like Close Encounters of the Third Kind image when I read that comment, right? All those little lights at the very top of the
I
mountain.
wonder if they're okay.
Because they,
it's
they
like,
were looking up there.
What's
You're
going
right.
on up there? And I'm sure they're probably going, should we go up?
Yeah.
Well, Jesus didn't tell us to. Are they in trouble? Do they need help? I don't know. Imagine what it must have been like for them down there.
Now, how far did God's voice carry? Like, were they able to hear it down below, or only at the top as a conversational thing? Or was it booming enough that everybody down below heard it too? I just thought of that.
It doesn't tell me
No,
here in the
it does
text.
not.
None of the texts.
And my Bible doesn't have an answer key in the back. Sorry, gang.
Oh, there
Heat off.
came a voice. Sorry, baby, I turned it on because I was freezing, and now you're sweating. But yeah, I don't know. I'm just thinking if God was really loud, maybe they heard like a thunder, or they heard something down below, right?
They probably heard something, but we don't know what.
Right? No,
And we don't even get commentary from the other disciples. Boy, that's a book to be written. Some novelist out there could really do an interesting take on all the things that we don't get to see in the Bible. What did the other 9 say about this? Well, we're not the A team. I'm on the B team, maybe even the C team. I didn't get to go with the big guys. But here's what we did. We kind of hung out. We did that, And then we saw all this craziness. That would be really interesting.
Yeah.
Maybe just interesting to me because I'm a nerd.
No, but I wonder if they were affected in any way by that up there.
It's a great way to read the Bible, too.
Yeah, it
Put
is.
yourself in the other person's position.
Yeah.
Judy, you're so sweet. She says, I think Faith Matters is the most uplifting 30 minutes of the week. Well, I couldn't agree with you more.
Right.
And it's because of this interplay.
Yes.
It's not because of what we do here. It's because of how we all do this together. That's what I think is the coolest part of this whole thing. And it is my favorite half hour of the week.
Yeah.
Yeah, Kelly says,
Yes.
I find it hard to believe that the 3 didn't let it spill a little bit, but maybe they did make a concerted effort to follow directions as best that their humanity allowed.
Right.
Yeah, I'll tell you, being confidential about stuff is difficult. It's a skill you have to learn, especially when you have something that's really cool.
Yeah. You know what I noticed when you were reading this for the first time? This is just a me. The biggest understatement in this whole thing, but only Jesus.
Oh, yes.
The biggest understatement
I'm so glad
after
you
all
said
that.
that.
Did you get that too?
Yep.
Suddenly they looked around and saw no one with them anymore, but only Jesus.
But only Jesus. As if that's not enough.
Only Jesus.
Oh, just Jesus. Yeah, that's no big deal.
Yeah.
And what we don't know is, so there's a parallel to this. In other years, when we read this same passage, not from Mark, but from Luke, the rest of the lectionary that goes with it is the Old Testament story of Moses going up the mountain to speak to God, and when he would do so, his face would shine, and when he would come back down, he would have to veil his face because the skin of his face was still shining, and frankly, it just creeped out the Israelites.
Yeah.
What we don't get to see here is, at what point did Jesus stop glowing?
Right.
Doesn't say.
It doesn't
Nope.
say. So we don't know, did that happen as little by little as they were working their way down the mountain?
Right. What did he look like when he
And
got
by the way,
to
when they say
heaven?
mountain, this isn't Everest we're talking about. Mountains around Palestine are, something you
Like
can
a
climb
hill?
in 15 minutes.
All right,
It's
see?
like a big hill.
Yeah.
So it's
So
not this massive journey. They're not sitting there with ice axes and pitons and all that kind of stuff.
They're not doing Peter's.
They're not doing what Peter does, right? That's not it.
There's an easily climbable
Yeah.
mountain that we could have gone up, right?
But only
Yeah.
Jesus.
Right.
One of the other texts actually has Jesus coming, touching them on the shoulder and saying, "Be not afraid." Oh, I love that.
Oh,
Mark leaves that
yeah.
out because Mark is
That
just the
is
facts.
important.
But in Matthew, he puts his hand on the disciple's shoulder and says, "Be not afraid." Ooh, I get chills just saying it and thinking about it. They had to have looked different when they came down the
Yeah.
mountain. Yeah, Carol, you're
I
right.
think, right? But
Right? Because you know what? If you have some sort of really good secret and you know somebody really well, can't you tell on their face that they got something's changed for them?
maybe not.
I mean, they now knew beyond a shadow of a doubt
Yeah.
that Jesus was, in fact, the Messiah.
That knowledge is so important, and it had to be life-changing for them.
Oh, Rosalie, really great question. Could this have been the beginning of Judas's jealousy?
Oh, wow.
And his discontent festered until the betrayal? Judas didn't go up the mountain.
No.
In fact, when Jesus singles out disciples to do different things, Judas is never one of them. Never once is Judas selected for that. Now, he did get the sort of distinction of being the group's treasurer, the keeper of the
Yeah.
purse. He took care of the logistics and the money. But he didn't get to do any of that. So there certainly is a plausible argument to be made there, isn't there?
Mm-hmm.
Something
Wow.
to ponder as we go through Lent. We know that Judas is going to be the betrayer. We have the benefit of hindsight here, but this might be a good character glimpse.
Yeah.
Oh, Brian, you're killing me. This is a personal question for me. Did the Holy Spirit lead Tom Brady to leave New England and go to Tampa Bay?
Only God knows that answer.
Wow.
How did we get off? How did we get off?
Congrats to the GOAT.
I'm not sure which.
Yeah.
I think it's indisputable. He is now the greatest quarterback
I know.
of all time.
That's right. So there's that.
There is that.
That's right. Yeah.
What's he got? 7 rings.
Yeah.
A
Doesn't matter where he
supermodel
is.
wife, beautiful children. Some guys have it all. I know I do.
I knew that was coming. I was like, wait
You
for
bet.
it. Wait for it.
25 years ago, that would have made her melt. Now she's like, oh, please,
Oh,
here
come
we
on.
go.
I got flowers and a champagne in the fridge waiting for me, so
Yeah, it's true.
I'm a lucky
It's
gal
true.
today.
You're a
yeah.
blessed and happy Epiphany. Well, we
That's
all
right.
are, Judy. We all are. And we're pleased that everybody here is.
Is it Valentine's Day today?
I believe that it is.
Fail.
I believe that it is. Okay, my friends, we are running
Yeah.
close to time here. Let me just take a moment of sort of orientation time to give you an update on what's going on here. Obviously, at 10 o'clock this morning, we will have our worship service, and we invite you to join us for that. You will hear a very fine sermon by our future priest, Pete Steinbrenner, who's going to do a great job. Lent begins this coming Wednesday, and we will have 3 different opportunities to begin our Lenten observance together. 7:30 a.m. out on our courtyard, live and in person, wearing masks and appropriate and all that kind of stuff. We will have an Ash Wednesday service of Holy Eucharist. We will repeat that very same opportunity for you at noon. So you can, if you make it at 7:30 a.m., if you want to go before work, or you can be here with us live and in person at noon. At 7 p.m., there will be a live stream broadcast, just like we do our 10 o'clock service, that will go out through our Facebook and YouTube channels. So 3 opportunities to begin our Lenten observance on Ash Wednesday. Now a word about ashes. This year, we will not, underscore not, be imposing ashes. I know that really bothers a whole lot of people, and I'm not thrilled about it myself, but owing to the COVID pandemic and the idea that we don't want to be too close to one another, we are going to forego ashes this year. Let me just say a word about what that might feel like. People have been trying to find, I've heard from dozens and dozens of you with suggestions. Well, could we do this? Could we do that? Could we do this? Could we do that? And I love the innovation. This is the year of innovation. I love the spirit. But let's remember what the ashes are. They are merely a symbol of something deeper. Our quest for penitence, our quest for self-examination, our quest to live more fully into what God calls us to be. So let's not get too hung up on the symbols. Let's instead focus on what the symbols are leading us to. Not the form, the substance. Another way I might look at that is we give up things for Lent sometimes, right? One of the things that the pandemic is forcing us to do this year is to give up the ashes. But let's look at it as that. Let's look at it as something sacrificial. Not something that we're being prevented from getting, but something that we're choosing to give up and see what that feels like to us. Okay? So, 3 services for Ash Wednesday, 7:30 a.m., noon, and 7 p.m. We will, moving forward, we will also have a Lenten study series this year, as we do every year. This year it will be conducted via Zoom, and our very fine postulant, Peter Steinbrenner, is going to lead that. Why don't you tell us about it, Peter?
Oh, no. Henri Nouwen? How do you say it? Nouwen?
Henri Nouwen.
Henri Nouwen. And it's a book. So if you go online, you can find a little bit more about this, but it's
on our Facebook page.
It's on our Facebook page. So we have 18 people signed up for it. We're going to have this Lenten study based on that book, and I have over.
It's called With Burning Hearts.
Thank you so
and
much.
It's a way how we look at how we celebrate the Eucharist and why we do. Now, this might sound a bit familiar to some of you because this is the very same study that we began last year, and then obviously the world contracted on us, and we never did finish it. I think we got through 2 sessions of the 5. So Peter has chosen to restart that, and we'll start that book all over again and have an opportunity to have a conversation, much like we're doing here. But with Zoom, we all get to see one another and we get to talk live. So I'm really looking forward to it. Because I love this forum. It's my favorite 30 minutes of the week. 30 hours, right? And B, I don't have to lead it this year. I'm going to get to participate, and Peter's going to have to do all the hard work. So I'm a thrilled man on both cases.
So that's not
Me too.
this coming Tuesday.
Okay,
It's the following.
that is not this coming Tuesday. And the way you sign up is to send an email to Peter, and the information is on the website. And I have talked way too long. We have to go get ready to do Mass. God bless you, God love you, and we'll see you in about a half an hour.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.